Hello, welcome students. Here Sonu sir. It's a new video of class 8 SST history, and in that we are forwarding our chapter 5 crafts and industries during colonial rule. So students, in previous topic, in previous video, we have been discussed about up to deurbanization of page number 58 in your course book. So open page number 58 in your course book. Students, in that we have been discussed about beginning of the industrial revolution, the conquest of Bengal, deurbanization and increased pressure on land. So students, one thing I was forgotten. Sorry. So that word was Diwani revenue in conquest of Bengal. So what is the meaning of Diwani revenue, students? Diwani revenues means all revenue collection of Bihar, Bengal and Odisha was now in hand of British. After, and by whom this Diwani right or Diwani revenue was given? It was given by Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II. It was this Diwani rights or Diwani revenue had or has given by Shah Alam II, who was a Mughal emperor, and he was son of Alamgir II, who was son of Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb's son was Alamgir II, and Shah Alam II was son of Alamgir II. So Shah Alam gave permission and gave rights of Diwani of Bengal, Bihar and Odisha. And by taking that Diwani rights, that, and what is, Diwani rights? Revenue collection. Revenue means tax, students, don't be confused in that. Revenue collection of these three states, because these three states were included at that time. Bihar, Bengal and Odisha was in single state Bengal, and the revenue taxes of these three states was in hand of British after conquest of Bengal. And after that deurbanization started and people of cities had helpless, and they had to come their homes and have been given out their jobs. So after that we see increased pressure on land. So when East India Company or British realized that they had been consolidated, that means gathered the revenue of Bengal, Bihar, Odisha, they had inland trade rights, that means they can trade in nearby territories. There were total duty-free work and trade. They had not to pay any type of taxes or revenues in those states. In spite of that, they were in charge of collection of revenues of those states. So students, before I start increased pressure on land, our topic on page number 58, we have to revise our topic, the conquest of Bengal. The conquest of Bengal by the East India Company marked the complete political domination Britain over India. Bengal served an expanded base for the import of British manufactured textiles. So students, British imported finished products from Britain, especially in Calcutta or Bengal. And students, they imported that products and sold here in high price. The company started financing its investment in India. So by that they earned more and more money and they started investment of money in our country, and with the profits made from duty-free Indian trade, and they had Indian trade of nearby area territory, and it was totally duty-free. That is why they were gaining more and more income. And students, they had also surplus of Diwani revenue that I have explained about Shah Alam, permission given of Diwani rights of these three states, Bengal, Bihar and Odisha, and the revenue collection of those three states was also high, and by that the economical condition of British was well, but they were in greed, they were in more exploitation, they wanted more and more money, they were not satisfied till then, so they started increased pressure on land. Land means here agriculture. So students, they captured our trade, they captured our duty or taxes, they captured our raw materials and bound us, and make limited us that we can only make those limit of raw materials what they wanted, and we have to sell on the price which was selected or calculated by them. So we were totally exploited by hands of them, and by that they understood now if they wanted or they want fully capture on our economy, they had to invest in agriculture. So it was the only plan of investment. If we see the behind scene of that investment, it was just exploitation in agriculture, and what would become we see. So we are now on topic page number 58, increased pressure on land. The East India Company lost one of its major sources of revenue, Bengal, after the deindustrialization. So when in India industries declined, so that time company was taking revenue of Bengal, as we know, after Diwani rights, but because of deindustrialization, that means industries declined or destroyed or shut out there, so then the revenue or the tax collection of East India Company was decreased because there was an deindustrialization. That means shutting down of industries, closing of industries was there because of loss of business or loss in trade, and the loss of trade was also only because of British. So then they started. So it decided to invest in agriculture to boost up their revenue generation. So after big exploitation, when they realized that now there is nothing to exploit, so they started exploitation in agriculture, and they levied and made some provisions and prohibitions. Then what we see, so 3 land revenue settlements. So they did 3 works and to boost their revenue generation in agriculture, and these 3 implements or implementations we have been already studied and discussed. And what are they? In that we see the land revenue settlements. The first is permanent settlement. Permanent settlement. So what is permanent settlement? Students, you can read with me, but revision of the and I am explaining this one again. So what is permanent settlement, students? The revenue of Bengal and the tax collection of Bengal was fixed or was being made fixed by British. That is called permanent settlement. The taxes of Bengal, including Bihar and Odisha, was fixed by British. That was permanent settlement. And then Rotwari system and Mahalwari system. We have been discussed these 2 systems also. In both there was 1/2 or 1/3 part of agricultural product which had to pay as revenue or as tax. So students, these 3 land revenue settlements came on scene, and we see the permanent settlement, Rayotwari system and Mahalwari system. So these were land revenue settlements. In permanent settlements, there was fixing of revenues of Bengal was there, and peasants and workers had to pay that revenues which was decided in permanent settlement. Then Rayotwari was half of land produce had to pay, and Mahalwari was near about like Rayotwari. So were introduced to increase investment in land. So by that, people were free to take loans, and after taking loans they were investing on field, and after taking profit they in filling of loans and in giving return of loans, they had to pay more taxes, and at the same time they had to pay the taxes of land also. So in both hands, in both ways, British were in profit. Then students, we see commercialization of agriculture took place, and peasants were forced to grow cash crops to earn revenue for the company. So what I said, the greed of British was not stopped there. They was in mood of more and more exploitation. That is why they forced farmers to grow cash crops. By that, if they sell their cash in high price, the revenue will be more. And revenue was also depend on crops, which is in agriculture. So that is why they promoted more and more cash crops. By that, the revenue of British will increase. And the revenue generated from Indian agriculture was used to develop industries in Britain. And what the taxes and revenues was collected was being sent to Britain or England, and there they were doing their infrastructure. They were increasing their infrastructure in industries and in industries establishment. And we see cotton textile was in great demand in England. So as we know, cotton was in great demand in England. So that is why the raw material was they were purchasing from here and making finished product there, and they hence more and more production of cotton was encouraged by the British to meet their requirements in Britain. So they started more and more cotton products because the selling of them was easy. So they took more and more products, raw materials from our country, and sold on more high prices in different markets. So by all the way, we were exploited. Our economical drain was there. We lost more and more taxes and economy, and in the way of agriculture. Now students, our page number 59, activity 1. Identify the different types of silk produced in Assam. Browse the internet to collect information about each of them. Find out when these silk producing industries have been in existence and about their present status. Also find out the process involved in the production of these different types of silk. Do they have international recognition? So there is an activity, students. This is activity of silk of Assam. Have you remembered that Muga silk of Assam that we have been studying in previous videos? So there is Muga silk of Assam is so famous silk and have been more cost compared than other silk. So that was in more use in different parts of country. So what is the condition nowadays in Assam? We have to find out. And what was the condition in past when those type of factories of silk was there? This is your activity. And students, now we move on. Our I wish I knew of page number 59. In that it is written, the Charter Act of 1813 granted permission to Christian missionaries to come to India from England and preach their religion. It also provided for the allotment of 1 lakh every year for the education of the Indians. So students, now it is very important topic, Charter Act. So students, what is Charter Act? I have to explain. Charter Act of 1830 is Act of East India Company or British who allow, or we can write which allows all British traders to do free business in India. Free business in not only British, all the European companies then were free to do trade in your country, but mostly it was for British that they can do any trade in our country without paying any money. It was totally free trade. So in 1813, free trade in Bengal and other different states was being passed, and by this act, there was an aim of British to expand their business in India fully without paying any duty or taxes, and in the image of that thing, they were also trying to promote their Christian missionaries, to promote their language in our country, to promote their education in our country, and by that they did expense of 1 lakh rupees, 1 lakh of every year for the education of the Indians. Now students, we see growth of modern industries. During the second half of the 19th century, Indian industries began to grow despite British reluctance. These were the reasons that contributed toward the growth of modern industries in India. During the time when indigenous industries began to decline, famine broke out, which added to the misery of craftspersons and artisans. The British were forced to initiate the establishment of industries in order to deal with this situation. So students, in 1850, that means half of 19th century, so there was decline of our local industries, our indigenous or native or countries, factories and industries, because of the exploitation of British, drain of British. But in spite of that, our countrymen were hard workers, and they started improvement of industries in spite of all odds, and they started their own industries like British. They started investments in all type of industries like British, and started to grow Indian markets like British, and started giving challenge to them. So students, growth of modern industries. Today we introduced this topic. In next video I will forward this topic deeply. Till then, you have a homework. You have to do checkpoint of page number 59, activity of page number 59, and you have to search out what is about I wish I knew, that is Charter Act of 1813, and has to write a small summary on that. Okay students, till then, read more and more for a better result. Have a nice day.